Elliot, a funeral director, is getting a body ready for a funeral. He softly speaks to the deceased before snapping a photo, feeling a deep connection with them. At the same time, Anna, a middle school teacher, and her boyfriend Paul, who is a lawyer, are being intimate in their apartment. However, there's an underlying tension as they appear quite distant from each other. While in the shower, Paul asks Anna if she's happy, and she answers affirmatively, but it feels like she's not being truthful. Shortly after, she heads off to work. Upon arriving at school, Anna sees a young boy named Jack being picked on by older kids. She steps in to help him, and Jack asks about a little chick they have in the classroom. He's concerned that the chick might be dead, but Anna reassures him, saying it's just fright. Anna struggles with an addiction to antidepressants, but realizes she's out of them. As she prepares to leave, she notices the hallway lights turning off one by one. Panic sets in, and she starts to run toward the exit as the hallway plunges into darkness. Just as she's about to scream in fear, Jack shows up and turns the lights back on. Jack informs her that he's heading to her former piano teacher's funeral and urges her to join him. She graciously declines, explaining that such events aren't suitable for kids. She stops by the pharmacy and spots a hair salon. She goes there and dyes her hair red. Upon reaching the funeral, she sees Elliot standing by the casket, chatting with his wife. Anna approaches the casket and strikes up a conversation with the woman. Elliot watches Anna and becomes intrigued by her. As she glances at him, she suddenly feels a jolt of fear when she notices him breathe out. Anna exits the funeral and heads to her car, while Elliot continues to watch her through the window. Anna is set to go on a date with Paul, who has a surprise proposal in mind. They start off well, but Paul mentions his promotion and upcoming transfer. Anna misinterprets this as a sign he wants to break up. They end up arguing, and Paul doesn't even get the chance to pop the question. In the heat of the moment, he tells Anna she's just like her mentally unstable mother. Realizing his blunder, he chases after her, but she starts her car, cranks up the music, and drives off in the rain. Anna speeds away, and her car crashes into a truck, flipping over. She wakes up in the basement of Elliot's funeral home, lying on an embalming table with a bruise on her head, dressed in a short red dress. Elliot comes over and starts cutting her clothes. He then informs her that she was in a car accident and that she's officially dead. She doesn't buy it, so he shows her the death certificate. Anna remains skeptical and tries to move, but she can't. Elliot chuckles, saying that everyone is in denial when they first wake up on the autopsy table. He leaves her to rest and turns off the lights as Anna tells herself she's just having a nightmare and screams. Paul wakes up to find Anna missing. He tries to call her, unaware that Elliot has her phone. The answering machine picks up, and Paul expresses his desire for her to come to Chicago with him instead of breaking up. Elliot disregards the call, puts the phone in a paper bag, and stashes it in a cupboard filled with similar bags. Then, Elliot takes a picture he got from Anna's deceased piano teacher and attaches it to a wall covered in similar photos. Paul searches for his girlfriend at the school, but she's not there, so he heads to her mother's house. Anna's mother tells Paul that her daughter is dead and blames him for letting her drive in the rain. Paul is left in shock and tears as Anna's unfeeling mother states that she never liked him. Meanwhile, Anna is still convinced she's not dead and pleads with Elliot to let her go while he stitches up the wound on her forehead. Elliot insists she is dead and injects a substance in her neck. The doorbell rings at Elliot's funeral home. Elliot leaves the basement to greet Anna's mother. As Anna's mother sits in front of her supposedly dead daughter, she doesn't shed a tear. Instead, she blames Anna for dying and leaving her old mother all alone. She demands that Elliot return Anna's natural hair color, black. Jack is clipping a newspaper article about Anna's recent car crash. Jack's mom is mentally unstable and doesn't pay him any mind. Meanwhile, Elliot is upstairs cleaning his embalming tools, while down the basement, Anna wakes up and realizes she can move her body. She quickly checks her pulse and bangs her hand on the table, trying to feel some pain. Getting up from the table, she attempts to dial the phone in the basement, but Elliot is using it upstairs to sort out details for her funeral. Anna starts shouting for someone to let her out, but the doors are locked and there's no one around. At the same time, Paul shows up at the funeral home, demanding to see Anna's body. Elliot refuses, saying Paul isn't family. As they argue, Anna hears Paul's voice and starts yelling, but he can't hear her. When Elliot returns to the basement, he finds Anna sitting on the floor. She asks about Paul, but he gives her vague responses. Instead, he questions whether she ever loved Paul and tries to convince her that she needs to let go of her life. Anna insists she's alive, but Elliot keeps pushing, trying to make her believe she's in denial. After the fight at the funeral home, Paul heads to the police and complains to his friend about Elliot. Soon, he sneaks into a room where the wrecked cars are stored. He finds her car and sits inside, breaking down in tears. Suddenly, he has a hallucination of her, but a cop arrives and confirms that she is dead. While Paul is having a meltdown, Anna grabs some knives and attempts to pick the lock on the basement door. But as she gets closer, she spots another body down there and gasps in terror, not wanting to end up like that. Before stepping into the room, Elliot cools things down a bit. Out of nowhere, there. Anna lunges at him with a knife. He manages to subdue her and urges her to stab him, fully aware that she won't go through with it. Elliot starts to explain that he can communicate with her because he talks to the dead. He tells her it's his job to assist her in transitioning. Then he raises his voice, telling her that her life wasn't great to start with, so she shouldn't make such a fuss about it. Anna pauses, feeling down, and lies on the table. Before long, she wakes up to see an old woman in front of her. The old woman, now dressed in black, is combing her hair and tells Anna that she isn't ready yet. Out of the blue, a dark metallic door swings open in a corner. Anna approaches it, slowly reaching her hand into the darkness, and suddenly, another male hand grabs or pulls her inside. The door slams shut, and Anna finds herself in a mystical, shadowy realm. There, a little girl peers into the shadows and expresses her disappointment in Anna. The little girl also tells her that she's genuinely hurting and that she might be better off dead. This vision turns out to be just a dream as Anna returns to the embalming table and wakes up. In a fit of rage, she jumps up and starts wrecking the entire room. Elliot is getting ready for the old woman's funeral. Jack comes up to him and asks where Anna's funeral will take place. Elliot is curious about the kid, but decides to leave him alone. He heads to the basement and discovers everything is in disarray. He starts shouting at Anna, demanding to know why she knocked everything off the shelves. Instead of answers, he finds her in shock, questioning if she's alive or dead. Paul is mourning Anna when she suddenly appears completely naked. She turns to him and begins to tear her heart out her chest. Elliot brings Anna's burial dress that her mother had prepared. Anna insists she's not ready to die yet and tries to engage Elliot in conversation. But it's all a ruse as she swipes his keys. She attempts to unlock the basement doors. Shortly after, he drives away in his car. Elliot realizes his keys are missing and rushes back to the house just as Anna opens the front door. She dashes back to the kitchen and he doesn't see her. Unfortunately, he can't change the keys in the door, leaving him with no way out since all the other doors are locked too. Suddenly, Elliot hears some noises and decides to check the rooms. Meanwhile, Anna grabs a knife from the kitchen and scours the house for an exit. She finds a phone and tries to call Elliot. He answers, but thinking it's a prank, he hangs up on her. While she's still on the line, Elliot finds Anna and keeps trying to convince her that she's dead. He shows her a mirror where she sees her unusually pale reflection and starts to believe she might actually be dead. At the same time, Jack is outside and spots Anna through the window. Elliot notices this and smiles, seeing a chance to manipulate the young boy. Anna seems to buy into it, and they head down to the basement, where Elliot washes her hair and removes the red dye. While caring for Anna, Elliot receives a call to pick up a deceased body and prepare it for a funeral. Paul goes to Anna's school to collect her belongings. In her drawers, he discovers photos of himself that he had taken. Tears start to flow as memories flood his mind. Overcome with anger and sadness, he sweeps everything off the table. Anna and Elliot are in the basement, where she notices him getting ready to work on another corpse. He's stitching the deceased man's mouth shut to keep it closed and inserting lenses into the eyes. Anna asks if Paul cried when he saw her, and Elliot lies, claiming he didn't. But she's unaware that he never actually saw her. She questions Elliot about why people die, and he explains that life is tougher than death. He then injects her neck again, rendering her unconscious. At school, Paul runs into Jack, who tells him he spotted Anna at a funeral home in a red dress. Paul insists Anna didn't own a red dress, but Jack is adamant he saw her. Losing his cool, Paul slaps Jack in frustration when he suggests that maybe Paul doesn't love her anymore. Elliot is talking to the photos when he suddenly spots a police car parked outside his house, causing him to panic. The police officer knocks on the door, asking to see the dead body. However, he's actually there to check on his brother's corpse. Elliot breathes a sigh of relief and leads the officer to the basement to view his brother. The officer notices Anna's body, but her head moves slightly. He requests a moment alone with his brother, and once he steps out, he approaches Anna's body. It seems he suspects she might be alive, but his intentions are inappropriate. Elliot comes back into the basement, confused by what he just witnessed. After the officer leaves, Elliot becomes furious and obsessively applies makeup to his deceased brother, transforming him into a clown. Meanwhile, Jack keeps holding on to his suspicions and shows up at Armadale's funeral. As he approaches the new body, Elliot shows up and gives him a scare. Elliot tells Jack that the dead are attracted to him because he has a special gift, just like Elliot does. He even offers to teach Jack how to communicate with the dead. While driving, Paul spots a red dress similar to the one Jack mentioned. It jogs his memory of Anna owning a red dress, prompting him to speed over to the funeral home. Once there, he finds Elliot and insists on seeing Anna. He explains that Jack saw her in a window, but Paul insists he's a regular at the funeral home and has a wild imagination. hallucination. Frustrated, Paul storms into the house, shouting Anna's name as he rushes toward the basement. At that very moment, Anna wakes up but doesn't react, thinking she's truly dead. Paul rushes to the police, demanding they search the funeral homes. The officers brush him off, telling him to move on. Back at the funeral home, Anna lies on the table while Elliot prepares her for the funeral. She starts to open up to Elliot, sharing her regrets and her desire for a different life. Elliot asks her what could have made her life better, and she hints that all she wanted was happiness. Elliot gets upset and starts probing into her life and her relationship with Paul. He then opens the door, telling her to leave, claiming she has another chance. Anna experiences a terrifying hallucination and freezes at the doorway. Elliot then chuckles, saying she fears life more than death. They return to the table, where Elliot resumes preparations for the funeral. He begins digging a grave for Anna when Jack suddenly appears. The kid is eager to learn from Elliot and asks for guidance. Elliot then shares his life philosophy, explaining that he can see bodies of people who aren't necessarily dead, but are just wandering around aimlessly, making life more difficult. He tells Jack that this is his responsibility and that he has no option. The following morning, Anna is in her box, waiting for the final arrangements for the funeral. Before she gets the injection, she asks Elliot to let her look in the mirror one last time. He hands her the mirror as she breathes out. She watches her breath fogging up the glass. Anna realizes that he's been deceiving her from the very beginning. She's truly alive. As she protests, Elliot administers the injection. She drifts off to sleep. The funeral director then snaps a photo of her. At the funeral, everyone is in tears, including Anna's mother. Paul arrives and feels how cold her body is, and he starts to cry, gradually coming to terms with her death. Elliot is determined to keep the truth hidden, so he hastily shuts the box. Once everyone is left, he places Anna's picture on a wall filled with hundreds of photos of his victims. Meanwhile, Anna regains consciousness while being buried alive. She scratches and bangs on the lid of the box, but no one hears her. Paul can't bear his sorrow any longer and gets extremely drunk and upset. He still can't accept that Anna is gone and confronts Elliot about it. But instead of offering comfort, Elliot dares to check if Anna is still alive, claiming he doesn't have much time. Paul quickly departs and drives toward the graveyard. Simultaneously, Jack places a little chick in a box and buries it alive, telling the chick that this is for the best. As Paul drives recklessly and intoxicated to Anna's grave, she is screaming inside the closed box, struggling to breathe. Paul notices an ambulance behind him, but keeps driving. On the same road, Elliot is chilling in his car with Jack. Paul dashes towards a graveyard and begins to dig it up. He pulls Anna out of the box and kisses her. She looks up at him, but Paul quickly realizes he's just dreaming. The next thing he knows, Elliot is looming over him at the table, slicing open his bloody shirt just like he did with Anna. Elliot starts to persuade Paul that he's dead, claiming he never made it to the cemetery because of a car crash. As Paul argues back, Jack shows up and watches the whole thing unfold. Elliot drives a stake into Paul as his new victim screams in agony. So, that was the recap for the 2009 film Afterlife. For more recaps like this, stay subscribed to the channel. And if you have liked this video, you may also like this.